So this is what is meant for publishing data entry and meta entry for my publishing entity CMDesk Publishing with ASCAP. So I have various playlists here on my website. There'll be more, but what I do is I want to make sure all of these have as much meta information as possible. So I'll look at a playlist. For instance, right now I'm looking at 90s MTV reality. And what I have to do is I go into my portal for disco, and I have the various tracks here, and I can sort of quickly identify what tracks might still need certain information. And there's other ways you can use the search feature to search within the playlist somewhat. But anyway, I can tell that there's several that didn't have the information. So entering the information is something like this. I would click the information button here, and here I can see there's a little bit of information missing right off the bat, which is the publishing information. So I already have the most important number, the ISWC, the International Standard Work Code, that's registered with ASCAP. So then I enter my additional publishing affiliation and my writer's affiliation with ASCAP. I also have to want to make sure that these fields are completed as much as possible. Artist, composer. The grouping is what's called one-stop, which means they only have to come here to be able to use the track and license the track and things like that. That way they don't have to go to multiple parties. If I have a ISRC code, I would put that right there. Any other information I want to enter here, I can enter. And since I have what's called the T code, which is the ISWC code, I can go over here to this other section and enter some additional information. And I can also enter this information without having T code, but it's better to have it. And what that does is that saves this information into WAV files as well as MP3 files. So I have a lot of information here. They can track the codes as necessary for this particular song in case they happen to use it in a project. So that I would click save. If I have lyrics, I add the lyrics and stuff like that. This system uses auto tagging, so I don't actually have to worry too much about tags, but I can enter additional tags if it's applicable. So here's the tricky part. That's one track, and then here's how many tracks I have going on in disco. So if I go over here, I can see that I have 1,235 tracks. Now, all those don't need that information, only certain ones do. So it's not going to take me as long as it would to do all 1,235, but it's still going to take a while, and I have to sort of comb through to make sure everything has everything. So the other part of this is, where do I get that T code, and where do I get an ISRC code? So the T code I get from ASCAP. So I can go in here and see which tracks have T codes that I'm looking for. So if I had a track like Synesthesia, I can look it up here, and then I can go into Performer and other info, and it's usually here if it's been registered in advance and it's ready to go. It usually takes around 2 weeks to get this code. But where do I get the distribution code, the ISRC? Well, I go to DistroKid, and anything that I've released has that ISRC code. So here's the ISRC code, and it's per title. So if I need this title, I would get this code, etc., etc. So as you can see, these are all the works that I've released through DistroKid. And so all of these have the ISRC code as well, which is the International Sound Recording Code or something like that. But anyways, so those are the two most important codes, and one is applicable more towards sound recordings, and one is applicable more towards the composition. Anyway, that's technical jargon, but essentially both are good to have. So that's how I would properly enter the data for various tracks that are in my playlist, because when they click these playlists, they're able to download everything. So we want as much data as possible inside each of these tracks. And if I have album covers, I can add those as well.